We're finally doing this, huh?
Yes,
Crazy.
Yeah.
it is.
I mean, we've discussed this for a while. Why
Yeah.
not now? So, you know what? I prepared a few little intros and all this for you. We're going to do actual explanation to the audience in a second. Our parents and our little friends are going to watch it. So let me, cue the first opening intro. Every week, everyone, new person is going to do this part, right? So Ari is going to make all the graphics and all these elements next time. After that, Ayan's going to do it. So, today's my turn to begin with it. So let's go. So yeah, I mean, look, I think for the people who are watching this and a little confused about why three of us have popped up here, I think Ayan was here recently, and we are all friends. We grew up together, and we've been chatting about football. And now that we are all in different cities right now, thought that this was a great way to just catch up, have a conversation. We know how to use StreamYard. We know how to do a little bit of YouTube edits and all that rubbish things. So may as well use it for something that we enjoy doing. Yeah. So
Yep.
first up, Ari, which team do you support? What do you do? Tell the three people who don't know us who are watching this who you are.
Awesome. So I'm Ari. I'm a United fan to start with, and that's why I've got Ari Smith written there because this dude came to United from Leeds in 2003, I think, and he was just lighting the Premier League on more than lighting the Premier League on fire. United was going through a really horrible phase. We were finishing fourth, and this dude was just coming and scoring equalizers for us. So that's United, and that's why Alan Smith, because he could do anything. He was a superstar. Number two, I work with 42. I do a little bit of videos, and I go and hang out with some cool superstars who play the game of cricket and do some other stuff. And yeah, I'm just a football geek and a passionista, and not a fashionista.
I mean, you're pretty fashionable as well, man. Like, first of all, you're the only one who'll dare to wear all those patterns and all of that. Secondly, your color palette is off the charts. Oyan, you.
So, yeah.
Hey, reduce your headspace and all that.
So
Too much
I'm
headspace. Damn it.
I'm still
Oyan's
I'm
not
still
a
learning
not a pro at this.
still
Tell me.
learning the ropes of digital media. So yeah, I'm Ayan. I live in Finland right now, but also a United fan and have been for like more than what 15 years now, almost. So been an interesting journey because when we started off as fans, all of us like we were always winning, and I think over the last decade or so, uh, it's been a very interesting time to be a United fan because we're not used to being in the position that we are, and that has created a lot of interesting conversation, I guess, as to how to get us all back. So my passion, I would say, is trying to figure out how people think about football and how players, coaches, fans, how the whole dynamic works. And for me, that is what makes this whole thing so damn interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, we've had so many discussions when we were kids as well, hanging out in our place and playing FIFA and talking about football. And you're right, like, United played so well when we were kids, and I'm also a United fan. So there is going to be a bit of a United angle and bias in this show, but we'll try and get some of our friends on who are, Liverpool fans or whatever other teams that, unfortunately exist and are good in football. But it's kind of like we've grown up with that 1989 born on all of us, and
Yeah.
as kids we got used to glory, we got mollycoddled with all that, and then as we grew up adulthood hit us, which was like Ferguson retiring. We cried, it was our graduation in a way. And then after that we have had to deal with adulting, which is like you aren't going to necessarily win, or you'll have a really bad boss, and that boss is going to try and make you do a few things that you don't really want to do. You have bad ownership, and that matters. And it's absolutely, it's like growing with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
um
typically United, like always in the forefront of things in terms of winning title, and also to kind of tell you that, hey guys, this is how you're going to feel. That's how the Liverpool fans felt. Now this is your turn, and Arsenal, we still don't know, because we still don't know, and yeah, so that's
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 it. That's a genius segue because our first topic, because we're gonna look, it's pretty unstructured, this whole thing, but we're gonna add some little structure by knowing what topics we're gonna talk about. So that's a great segue into actually what's our first segment, talking about Arsenal.
Empty, obviously, because it was a very emotional game, and disappointed because we didn't get the 3 points. That after all what happened in the game, I still believe that we deserved. But yeah, we have to look in the mirror. We give 3 really easy goals away again, and when that's the case, it's extremely difficult to win in this league. The response of the players, I cannot love them more, honestly. It's just a joy to coach them. It's just a joy to be part of this club and experience what I have experienced together with the team. And at the end, yeah, the magic moment was there to be taken. We had 2 big chances at 3-3 to score, but today it didn't happen, unfortunately, and that's why we are like that. We'll be very different with the same game.
You understand why, to most people, City are now favourites for the title?
I can't control that.
You can't control that, can you? But they are. I mean, are they kind of bottling this up, or is it just the way that the fixtures are? What do you think? I mean, Arsenal has been pretty incredible all season.
I don't know. Do you think they'll win the league?
I don't think so. I predicted this, going that they were going to bottle it up. We were doing an interview last month, Arya and myself, Sam, Maximin, and we had a couple of women cricketers on the other side, and they were like, Arsenal. I was like, no chance. They're going to bottle it up. Like, that's Arsenal. But yeah, I don't know. You never know. I mean, first you just have to give it to the team and the manager to have done what they've done. There's also this random tweet, or there's a thing that's going on in the internet, which basically is going, I think Antonio, the West Ham striker, he says that he's heard from a friend who works inside Arsenal, who's told him that it's the first time in the season that Arsenal is talking about Man City and talking about the City players, and not focusing on what they've been told to do. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. First, they've not been in that position for a long, long time, so they don't know what it's like to cross that hurdle. But there's always the first.
So
Yeah, man. I
undisputed,
mean,
they're the youngest team in the league, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're the young. If nothing else, they've depended on those young players a lot, right? Like, and
Yeah.
it makes sense that they're talking about City now. It is a title run, and it's good that they haven't been distracted so far, and now they are going to play City. What's it like in a day's time or something? And it comes down to that, right? Like if you told them at the start of the season that all they have to do is beat City to win the title, and that's a one-off game, they would totally take that. And they're now at that position where they've just had 3 draws, so suddenly it looks bad. But they're 5 points clear, and they have a game against City. Like if this was Man United in title, our glory days, we would have looked at that and gone like 5 points clear. We are playing that team that is in second. Sure, we have 2 games, extra, but we're gonna play them. We're gonna beat them for sure. And that's the kind of confidence that you kind of should have as a title winning side, which Arsenal's at. It's that body language when they finish that game in a draw. They played really well towards the end, but the moment it finished as a draw, they just dropped. They looked deflated. But you're 5 points clear. You're going to play the guys next. At least project some bit of confidence and strength. And a part of me feels like that's just that title-winning mentality that they don't have. And Ayan would know this better because you've kind of worked in sports psychology.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, like I told a few of my Arsenal fans friends in what was it, January. Although this year was like it was a different year, right? Because we had the World Cup in the middle, so it kind of threw off the schedule that we normally have. But generally, like if you're leading end of Jan, and you have a nice gap, which Arsenal did have at that point, you generally don't lose the title from there. So Like it would take something special even to lose from there, right? Because you've built momentum all the way, and Arsenal, I don't think I think they got out of the other competitions as well, so they've pretty much had like
Yeah, pretty
time to
early.
recover. Yeah, they've had time to recover. They've had time to like build their best squad in the Premier League. They did well in the January transfer window as well. So it's a bit of a surprise to me that they are even in this position where people are talking about City being favorites right now. Like to me, it should have already been done. They should have been sitting pretty, and like like the City game shouldn't have been so crucial. So it could be down to inexperience, and maybe this will spur them on next season to do better if they don't get it this time. But I don't know. I still feel like they have a good chance. What if they draw against City? Does that work out for them?
I mean, it does, right? Like, what does that leave them? Still, just 5 points with two games
Five
in
points.
hand. So,
Yeah,
uh, are you expecting City to win all the remaining games?
I'm expecting City to win all the remaining games,
I
but
am expecting City to win all the remaining games because Arsenal's run is quite. It is quite a
quite
tough
tricky.
one.
Yeah,
You
it's
have
Yeah,
to
quite
run
tricky.
in.
There's
yeah,
Let,
because
Chelsea
let
they're
me
and
see
playing.
if I
Spurs.
can pull in the run in. I have it somewhere. Let me just pull up a BBC article or something like that so that we have the run in as well. Um, Title
But
race, Arsenal Man City. There you go. Um, okay. Look at that. We're doing things on the fly. This is from BBC Sport. So I love that this ends with Arsenal have not beaten City in the league since 2015 at the bottom line.
Yeah,
But so yeah, look, you'd think Man City at home. Let's count this first game as a draw, right? City and Arsenal. So City
yeah,
then play Fulham, West Ham, Leeds. They might have a semi-final, and Everton comes in the middle of those semi-finals, and this also has a chance of percentage chance of wins and all of that.
hmm,
Chelsea, maybe Chelsea under Pochettino might be able to do something. Brighton's not going to be an easy game as well towards the end. That's the final day. Um, it could come down to a final day.
yeah, it could.
Brentford away is the toughest one, I think, because City already lost to Brentford once this season.
Did they?
Yeah, I
Brentford
think
have
it
been
was
Yeah,
just
incredible.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean
I
the
mean,
only yeah the only easy fixture for Arsenal is the Chelsea one. The rest of it is all tough fixtures.
Jesus. I mean, I was just going to say Wolves at home should be a win for Arsenal, but okay, fine.
Yeah.
Nottingham Forest away is easy. Look, what Arsenal have is last two fixtures are easy. They should win those. And
Yeah,
the last fixture for Man City is going to be a bit hard because they're going to play Brighton away, and Brighton could be in the hunt for the top four. Probably not, but at least fifth. So they'd be looking for a European spot. So they'd go all out. Um, City, I mean, Arsenal do have tough fixtures right now. They play City, Chelsea. Yeah, I mean, depends on how they turn up. Newcastle's going to be hard. Brighton's going to be hard.
yes, yes.
But City have so many games, man. Like they have so many games, but they have such a big squad. So I have no idea. I think City could win all of them. I think Brighton might be the slippery one.
Yeah,
Brighton could be. Brighton
Yeah.
potentially. Though
So
Brighton, their last two games have been tricky as well. Didn't they lose to Brentford and then now, I mean, they drew with United FA Cup
correct.
final, but it was still, it didn't look as free flowing Brighton as I've seen them play.
I
Like,
mean,
Yeah,
absolutely. In fact, let's move on to talking about Brighton because we're kind of done with Arsenal, aren't we, for now? Very inspired by the sun and the mirror and all of that in those titles. Huh? But okay, so you're talking about Brighton. The To me, yes, they have. It's hard, right? Now teams are looking at them as a strong team. Like what United did in the FA Cup is probably a good game against a top quality opposition. This is how we'd play Man City. This is not how we would play, let's say, Brentford, even. We're going to be a little more aggressive. So the moment now Brighton have been looked upon as a big team, I don't think it's as easy anymore. people will pull back. So that whole thing, like there was that Tifo video about how the Brighton defenders put the studs on the ball so that they can
Yeah.
attract that press, and then they have their ways of getting through the press. That's working less. Against United, they didn't really have a lot of joy because United know that they do that, and they're more wary of that. So United were more defensively strong. So it's the same thing that United had under Ole, where we were kind of not taken seriously, and therefore we won so many games against the bigger teams because they didn't set up for this. And then the moment people started setting up for that, we struggled because we couldn't break them down. And that's going to be Brighton's next big challenge. But they have really improved, haven't they?
Hmm. There's some excellent players and people playing unbelievably well in positions you never heard of, kind of. So that's what makes them dangerous. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
they
I
did
mean,
lose. They
yeah.
did lose this really bright young talent, this Evan Ferguson, who was scoring for them. He looked
Yeah.
Yeah. Evan Ferguson. Yes.
I thought you were talking about Graham Potter, bright, young,
no, no,
talented manager.
Graham Potter. But who knows? Graham Potter might find himself in Tottenham.
I mean, there is a merry-go-round. We'll get to Tottenham in a bit, but I was checking this out. There's this video by, again, Tifo Football. I absolutely love their content. So if you want to check it out, check it out. But I'm just going to try and pull that in. So the interesting thing about Brighton is that they had a whole up and down journey, right? So this is the video that I was talking about. These guys, Brighton
Yeah.
were kind of on the brink of falling into non-league football, and this is like about 20, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And they've then sort of come back. They were on the brink of bankruptcy. They lost their stadium.
They didn't even have
They
a
won't have.
stadium. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So they were playing like 2 hours away or something like
Yeah.
that. And then
Yeah, they played 2 hours away, and then they
Yeah.
won the league there, and that's basically what got them. They got double promotion, like 2 seasons in a row. They got promoted.
exactly. And now that they came back into the Premier League, it's not too long ago that they got back into the Premier League. And the first 2-3 seasons, they've kind of just worked their way up. This is how you imagine football to be, right? So this is kind of why so many of us have fallen in love with Brighton, is because they have made this work over time. They've kind of built that team. Now, they lost Graham Potter, they lost Cucurella, they lost their, who was the other guy that Chelsea picked up from their administration. So they lost.
They basically, I think, also lost the director of football. I think Chelsea also
Right.
picked them up. Yeah.
Yeah. So now, amongst all of that, they've still kept getting better. Like De Zerbi, nobody was looking at De Zerbi, right? Like
Yeah.
Spurs didn't get him, Chelsea didn't go for
Yeah.
him. This is not. I mean, this is what Chelsea should have done. They should have gotten Roberto De Zerbi, worked with him, focused on a transfer strategy. They just went for the shiny object there without looking at the fact that this is actually a club that's really well run. If anything, Todd Bowley should have just bought the club. It would have been cheaper and it would have been more sensible. But now he's stuck in this situation where whoever you're bringing in, Brighton just keep getting stronger because they have the recruitment. They know the next person they're going to get. They find those little talents, and they've just kept evolving as a team. And now they're likely to end up in Europe playing some sensationally good football.
Yeah, to be fair, they remind me of Southampton of old. You remember when Southampton was producing all Mane?
When
United?
basically Pochettino was managing Southampton.
Exactly. Yeah. They
Oh,
really
so-
remind me of that
Yeah.
that era of Southampton. That's very interesting to see that Brighton have now become that kind of team. Yeah. This is
Yeah.
a promising team.
I mean, they also, I know they lost the FA Cup semi-final, but they've gone to the FA Cup semi-final twice in a row now, and they've lost to Manchester clubs and teams that played really well. Like, to be fair to United, after that Sevilla loss, this was a really good win. But I mean, I think that's that little bit where if you keep losing your best players, you aren't going to take that final step up.
Correct.
Yeah.
But let's hope
I
they
think-
can. That's what happened with Southampton. Yeah.
I think with Southampton, I mean, there's just two differences. Southampton it was good for 2 seasons. When Pochettino basically came on, they kind of understood what it was going to be, what the game was going to be about with the new manager. And the second season, they really surprised people. And then and then Southampton just was basically on the decline. Whereas Brighton, since they've moved from, since they have had the whole shift, since basically since Graham Potter came on, and to the Zerbi, there's it's not that the club's been at just one place. They've always looked for growth in its own way. So despite losing players, despite losing the manager and the whole coaching staff, and have gotten on new manager and a whole lot of new coaching staff. But I think what is going to make it break them is the next season, because if you're going to go to Europe, and while you're at Europe, you're going to lose your top players and not really recruit well. I mean, that next season is when you'll figure out how good their recruitment is, because there's going to be a massive chance that Caicedo leaves. He's going to either Arsenal is going to one of those top teams for sure, unless unless they can keep him with a long-term contract or whatever. But there's definitely going to be a few players. I even think the goalkeeper has had a fantastic season, and I don't know, Pochettino, let's say if he comes on, or whoever is the new manager for Spurs, I don't think Hugo Lloris is good enough between the posts. So why not this dude? There are a lot of players that have done well for Brighton, and they'll all be up in terms of under the radar for some of the in the radar of some of these top clubs.
But like you mentioned, the keeper possibly could go to Spurs. But if you think about it, like if Brighton finish above Spurs,
I know,
Spurs aren't some legacy team,
I know,
right? They haven't won anything for ages.
I know. Unfortunately, it's a stupid problem with football, right? Like you do well, and then you still go to a team that you think will be successful. I mean, a lot of the players kind of choose the team hoping that Spurs one day, or one of these clubs one day, will get them a trophy. Um, it's if I can say something really stupid, it's like Harry Maguire thought he was going to come to this club and he was going to lift us that silverware. Yeah, and he tried, but he just helped at the end. He came on for 2 minutes and he helped for another 2 minutes to lift it up. So you hope and you dream you're going to go there and you're going to make it big, but sometimes you just don't.
We're going to talk about Harry in a bit, but first, before we get to the depressing parts of it, there was a game where he was missing, so he was suspended for the semi-final, which kind of worked out in United's favor. So let's have a quick chat about that FA Cup semi-final. Where I know Brighton lost, but let's look at it from the Man United perspective because we're Man United fans. How good was Lindelof, huh? Oh, I should change the lower third. How good was Lindelof?
He was exceptional.
Oh, he was really really good. It was exceptional. Like, it's very rare that I've always thought he's a good player, but like it's not too often that Lindelof has taken us across the line. That was his game, like you know. So yeah, I thought he was exceptional. What a performance! Absolutely stunning.
To be fair to Lindelof, actually, he has managed to partner Harry Kane for the longest time and still get out from it.
You mean Maguire?
Yeah, sorry,
Maguire.
like
I
Maguire.
mean, he may as well have been partnering Harry Kane in defense, given how bad
Yeah,
Maguire has been in defense.
it's quite a
Even
tough
scoring
job,
goals.
right? Like, think about it. Like, he did it okay, right? Like, I think they still had a decent defensive record. I think that season with Ole, when United's defensive record was pretty okay, and like I think the majority of it, of course, Harry Maguire got all the attention on him, but I think Lindelof was quietly doing his thing on the side,
Yeah.
even in that season, and like his performances often go on like he's not the most charismatic dude on the pitch. So like you kind of like forget that he's around.
Hmm.
But when he does pretty well, and you can kind of rely on him. Like he's shifted positions, he's played all over the place, and he's been quietly he's been
Yeah,
quite an important part of United.
There were these MUTV interviews. You're absolutely spot on. There was these MUTV interviews after the game, right after when he struck that penalty that hit that top corner at the end of it, and the Gea, I think there was Dalo, someone else as well, and they all said that the moment I knew Lindelof is stepping up, we knew we were winning because he's been
Yeah,
exceptional at taking penalties. And he's just
hmm,
like, and all
yeah,
of these guys spoke about how they've kept practicing penalties. I mean, obviously the hair hasn't, but the strikers, the defenders, they knew that this might come up. And each of them spoke about how much they practice for this
hmm,
specific thing. And that's really nice to see. Like Ten Hag's actually taken care of these little details
correct.
that cost us, right? That's the difference between Ole winning a title, is one
Yeah,
of these happening.
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Because we were
absolutely.
there with Ole.
Yeah.
We were there 2 finals, and
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
we lost one on penalties, and we just lost the other one.
We
So
lost
it's
after what 11 correct
yeah,
penalties, right?
11 correct penalties. That's quite crazy, right? But with Ten Hag, I think it's a completely different process. I think before he gets into a game, I think he's not looking at the opponent, but he's looking at, I don't know, in his head, how many ever outcomes, whatever the possibilities are there from that game. So I think he looks at those possibilities and he kind of trains his players individually and collectively to go like, if we are on this road, this is how we play. If we are on this road, that's how we play. And if we go down to penalties, this is exactly what we want to do. And to think about it, the penalty was taken, all those penalties were taken, and we won this penalty shootout without Bruno taking a penalty, without Martial taking a penalty. Um, there's one more person, without Anthony taking a penalty. So, if without Ericsson taking a penalty,
Yeah.
so you've
Mhm.
you've suddenly got some of the four top penalty takers from our team who hasn't taken that, wasn't part of the penalty shootout, but they all got it right. And if you notice, the Brighton's keeper actually guesses most of the time, but it's practice makes perfect, right? So if you're going to keep hitting the bottom corner all through, you're going to keep hitting the bottom corner all through, whether the keeper reaches out there or not. Um, so yeah, it's these small details that I think makes all the difference and is what it is will take us across the line this season if it has to.
You're right. Like there were such good penalties. Like I think Kaze took one, Dalo
Dalo.
took one, Dalo's one was, and they felt savable.
Yeah,
And yet, like Sabitzer one, I mean, the keeper got a hand
yeah,
to it, but it was a good
correct.
penalty because
Yeah,
even though he got his hand to it, it was still going further away. I thought it was pretty cool, like how
I actually
well
had
the
a
penalties were
question
taken.
because I saw Sancho took a penalty, and I was wondering whether that was his like the last penalty he took. Was it the miss in the Euro
yes, yes,
finals? And was
yes,
was it was this the
yeah,
next one? Right.
yeah.
So
Rashford's
that's
also, no? Rashford's, this is the first one at Wembley since then, is it?
I think so too.
yeah,
Rashford
Rashford,
missed
but
the
Rashford
penalty.
taken a few more in the middle.
He might have taken a few penalties in the Prem, but he did miss, right, in the Euro, that final.
He
Did he
did, he did.
miss? I thought it
Yeah.
was Saka and Sancho.
Everyone missed.
Three of them, all three of them missed.
All three missed. No one scored.
All three missed.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, all three of them missed. So like,
Yeah.
but Jaden, I was surprised to see Jaden out there because I was like, oh my god, this boy
yeah,
must be like feeling it, right?
yeah,
Because the last one that he was there, like
yeah. He
he
got
just
lots of
lost.
shit for it.
Yeah, he got a lot of shit for it. But then, yeah, it's always
I mean,
difficult in that position.
this does happen, right? Like when you look at this had happened with Van Nistelrooy against Arsenal. Remember that whole thing when you miss a penalty
Yeah,
and then after that it's a redemption moment. You could see the emotions there. I mean, Sancho, I guess, was celebrating and happy, but he wasn't quite ready that he had, like, we hadn't won yet. Whereas
yeah,
Yeah,
Nistelrooy's was proper catharsis, and you could see a little bit of that in Sancho. But Sancho still needs to make it work, man. It's not, he's not quite there yet. Again, I feel like English players get such luxury. Like Grealish hasn't had a great season, neither has Sancho, but less pressure. Anthony's had, actually a really good season. He
Yeah,
started crossing with the right leg. He used his right leg for one really good cross.
Brighton
Two,
game. Yeah,
yes, right, the
He
FA
did.
Cup.
He
So
did.
he's been improving, and nobody seems to like, oh, Anthony, he 80 million player. Like, what the hell do you do about prices? You can't help
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But whether the guy has played well, he's played better than Grealish and Grealish's second season. This is right. I mean,
yeah.
of course, Man City are
Definitely.
playing better than we have, but there's that.
To be fair, like yeah, we will still know, right? Because it could be that we stop City in the
Yeah,
finals of the FA Cup,
I
and
mean, Anthony, it's his first season. Yeah,
there is still a chance that City doesn't win anything. That's how weird
yeah,
it sounds,
It's
but there's still a chance.
it's crazy that even till now, Arsenal could go back with zero titles this season, right? They have to win the
Yeah,
Premier League. That's it.
yeah,
On the other hand, if they do win the Premier League and they don't have a failure of a season technically in terms of titles and all of that, then City could actually end up with nothing.
yeah.
yeah.
And
City could
it's
do a
crazy to
Liverpool.
imagine. Yeah.
It could be.
Um, oh, you're muted or something.
Ah, it's just dropped off.
Ayan dropped off. Ayan's over in Evascula,
Ivaskila.
Finland. Yeah, no, I mean, it's been absolutely mad, right? When you look at how their Ayan's back, let's just add him back into
Got
the
thrown out.
stream. What the No, it is absolutely crazy that this season could end up a trophy-less season for either of these two teams that have been super successful. And United, that actually haven't been as good as Arsenal or City, could end up
Yeah,
winning two.
yeah,
Could. Yeah.
I mean, one of them will win one of those things. The Premier League is going to be with one of them.
correct. Either. But
But yeah,
just
we
on that,
have.
yeah.
Yeah, go on.
No, I was just wanted to. We were talking about Grealish and we were talking about Anthony dos Santos. It's just Grealish has been there in City right now for 2 years, 3 years. This is
Yeah.
his third season.
Two.
Yeah,
Two,
two,
second, I
second
think.
season.
Hmm.
Okay, second season. He's played 24 games. He's scored 5 goals and he's got 6 assists. In fact, it's those 6 assists what is really, really important for me rather than those 5 goals. So he's been there. Whereas you've got Anthony who's just come on through the Premier League. This is his first year. Doesn't know the language. Doesn't like the weather. He's kind of adapted to this whole thing. And 18 matches, 4 goals, 1 assist. That's okay. That's not bad for a first season. And the only thing that guy can do is use his left leg. So uh, just imagine if this player improves, if Anthony gets you 5 goals and 6 assists next season, will Anthony get all the hype that he deserves, or will Anthony still be a 80 mil massive tag who's not been able to perform in United?
Valid
Very
point.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah,
very
sorry, go
interesting
ahead.
you asked this question because uh, hot on Anthony dos Santos' heels is Ahmad, who's been playing absolutely
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
incredible for Sunderland. So it's going to be interesting next season. He's going to have some competition there, and like two of them, like on that side, that gives Ten Hag some options. And
yeah.
Ahmad's been looking better and better and better and better each game that he's playing. So I can't wait. Can't wait for him to come and see how he stacks up, with the big boys basically. That
There's
should
a
be
third guy also. There's Facundo Pelestri, who's so
Yeah,
it's crazy, right? So what Ahmad gets is directness into that area, which Anthony does to a certain level, but Anthony can also bring that curl in, so he can kind of do that little cross while stepping in. So that works well with Dalo going out as an overlap. Whereas someone like Diallo may not even need that overlap as much because he's going to go more directly straight in and go further in down the touchline. And then you have Pelestri, who does go down the touchline, but his game on the right side is to cross it in and make those passes. And he's a little more grittier than these. I mean, Anthony is gritty. That's the thing. Anthony's role isn't just to go out there and be that
no,
attacking winger. He's
no,
also leading that press where he's covering two men on that side.
true.
yeah,
And so what he brings to the table is fundamentally different from Diallo, which is different from Pelestri. So it's incredible how Ten Hag has all these players up front each of them have different roles and different capacities, and he keeps shuffling them during a game and changing those little dynamics, and you're like, wait, what? Like, there's a point where Anthony was playing on the left, and I felt it was better for a bit, and then when it stopped going good, again he went back to the right. So that was
Yeah,
pretty cool.
Yeah,
like sometimes he ends up being the our deepest fullback.
yeah,
It's not Van Bissaka or Diego Dallo on the right who's covering those crosses. You've got Anthony Dos Santos who's run down, who's chased that guy down, and he probably this is something we should just actually look and find out. I think his percentage of blocks is as good as any defender, at least in United.
Let's have a
yeah,
look
yeah.
at this. Let's see how
No,
we
I
can
think so
find this
because
stat out.
I have a strong feeling Ten Hag uses him for his defensive
Yeah,
responsibility
I think he gets
even
into the
more.
team 9 out of 10. First and foremost, because of his defensive responsibilities. Because
Yeah,
it's like, don't get me a goal. You can create. You are an Arya and Robin according to him. One
yeah,
one
yeah, yeah.
touch,
Yeah.
one player. So let him go and do that. But you got to go back and
Yeah, yeah, he does that going back, and he can hold the ball and keep the ball. So he gives that
yeah,
kind of different transition when we are moving from defense to attack. So even if like we're breaking and like we are not in position, he can
yeah.
like move around a little bit around that area, draw a foul. That's that keeps the ball with us. So he's very important to what we do. Yeah, and has been also.
So I'm trying to run through this. It's very hard to find these
Yeah.
stats, but um,
Might need some
ooh, I don't
support.
have it. It doesn't really have this sort of a detail, but I have a little bit on Anthony's capacities. No, nothing that can give me a proper reference on it. Hard luck on that. I'll find it next time. Next time, my assignment will be to find you what is the percentage of blocks he does and what's his defensive contribution. No, it's really cool because one thing that Anthony also brings to the table is like, he's going to do that move, all that is fine. But the moment he doesn't do that move, you really have space. Those two things from the right foot, that should have been blocked
Yeah.
by any defender, right? It wasn't genius movement. It was just that he just used the right foot and everyone just went like, what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And that I thought was pretty cool.
there's a lot
Uh,
that's evolved. You're right. Like overall, I think there's a lot that has evolved in United's play. The most interesting thing for me is that we are still a bit, I would call it bipolar because we have uh, I think we are leading the league in clean sheets, and we have
Yes. We have the most
and we
clean
have a
sheets.
goal difference of like under 10. So when we have eaten goals, we have eaten a lot of goals,
Yeah.
or we have kept a clean sheet. So it's been a little like we've been blowing super hot or super cold, but and we've bounced back every time that we know we've had a really tough result. So
Yes.
I think overall we are in a good direction, uh, and it's promising. It's very very promising.
yeah, man. I mean, I think the part that really worries me, and I thought we wouldn't talk about Sevilla at all. It happens to be a stadium I absolutely love. I think I told you guys, but if anyone else is watching, like going to that stadium, listening to them chant, Sevilla, 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 aquí estamos contigo, Sevilla. It's just like hair raising. The anthem is incredible. The Ramon Pichuan Stadium is intimidating. I can totally see someone from Man United coming there and just not being used to this kind of an atmosphere. Even Betis is like that, but we played well. Sevilla is just they can amp it up, especially in the Europa League. But that's it. Like that game, we just didn't turn up. And we have these games where we just completely switch off and do awfully. And then there's games where we are just on point. Brighton, we were kind of on point. It's a tough opposition. But Sevilla, we were just like non existent. And we can't. There needs to be consistency. There needs to be an improvement. But I think one common denominator about all these failures is actually our next topic. Harry, isn't it?
Harry Maguire.
Oh,
Harry, your favorite topic. I can't have you not say something and rant about Harry Maguire yet. I'll try and
that
defend him. You first.
how I you don't have to defend him. I don't think he can just defend, so there's no point defending him. Like,
Oh no,
what
I'm fine, fine. I'm going to give him a defense first, right? Because poor Harry gets a bad rep. Been a good club captain, hasn't whined all season about being on the bench. I understand that is a baseline, but modern day footballers aren't quite like that. He's a captain. He's not getting to play. He's not even taken on match day squads. All the pressure being an England international, and yet not a squeak. Nothing. No dressing room trouble. Seems to have still unified the group, has been working in training. Obviously, that doesn't always reflect. But I think one of the things with him is also the fact that he is not this guy who's going to get the ball out of his feet quickly. He's a good ball player, but if you give him some time, the moment it needs to happen quicker, he's not quite there yet. When you look at Martinez and Varane go up the moment they have the ball, they either progress by moving up quickly or they pass up. Whereas Maguire takes ages on the ball and then his pass is just this guy, or it's a long ball. So it's a hard thing for him to adjust to, but at least he's had the good right attitude. Is that the defense? And England doesn't require that. England doesn't require him to do that because international teams don't press quite as much. So you don't need that quick letting go of the ball. So he plays well. Whereas here for Man United, all the teams know how to attack. They press better. So the guy has to release the ball earlier. Doesn't get into better positions as well. Whereas when Varane and Martinez are there, then the Gea has those passing routes out. And Maguire struggles to get into that because he never has to. He's never had to. He's always had to be there. And the moment he gets the ball, there's enough space he can finger it off to another player. Whereas now suddenly there's two players coming in. He lets go of the ball, and then you see what happened against Sevilla and what keeps happening with him. The whole team also sits a bit further behind because he doesn't push it up. And midfielders are behind, forwards are behind. So we score fewer goals because everyone is trying to cover up that style of play.
Yeah.
And so, yes, Maguire is to blame for a lot of it. But, I mean, he's a good guy, no?
Okay, I'll start from the beginning. What I think. Okay, first of all, I think he's just had one good season with Leicester, and that is the only reason that he was bought. And that good season was him just going and making a few blocks here and there, and probably scored two headers. Yeah. In fact, the season we wanted him, we didn't get him, so we go and get him the next season. Now, strangely enough, I've not been able to justify most of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's signings, including Ronaldo. Like, we didn't need Ronaldo. We went and got him because Ronaldo. I don't think we needed Harry Maguire. I don't know. I mean, maybe he needed Harry Maguire, but we never defined the roles of the players. Even now, no, it's not that Ten Hag comes and tells us that this player is doing this, but when you see them play, you know that each of the players have a very specific set of roles that they need to do first and foremost on the pitch. Once you do that, then you can go and make lemon juice. Nobody has a problem. But they all come inside very drilled, going like, this is what I need to do. I got to run 8 kilometers today, maybe, if you're a midfielder. You don't run 8 kilometers, the coach is going to go and make you run 8 kilometers. With Harry right now, the problem is in this specific team, he just doesn't fit in. And if you actually if you start from the first time that Ten Hag was asked this question, Harry Maguire is your club captain and blah blah blah, he's always gone, yes, he's the club captain and he will remain the club captain. He's never really defended him in any other form, until 2 weeks back or a week back, and when we had when we had Lisandro Martinez injured and whatever, blah blah blah, and Ten Hag actually came out and he played Harry Maguire on the left back rather than the right back. Yeah, and so they asked him, "Why are you playing Harry Maguire on the left back?" Now, think about it this way: you've got Anthony Dos Santos, who practically doesn't have a right feet. Yeah, but when Ten Hag talks about an Anthony not having a right feet, he's like, it's okay. He doesn't need to have a right feet because he makes up with his left. For a Harry Maguire, he had to come out and say, I put him on the left because the dude cannot pass if he's on the right side. Now, that is a coach, after coaching him for a whole season, has had to change his position because our man, who is a right-footed guy, cannot play on the right side. And that is incredible. That is absolutely crazy. That blows my mind. I mean, you're an England international, and I've got, and and I've gone very cruel at Anthony as well when he doesn't pass with his right, because you are an international football player. That's what you do. That's your bread and butter. You train day and day out for that, right? You're not training day and day out to, I don't know, sit and talk here like we are doing on, yeah,
You're not
you
getting
train.
paid for this.
Yeah.
Free. Yeah.
So my biggest problem with Harry Maguire is that, and my second biggest problem with Harry Maguire is I don't think he is a leader who can command the defense. Like you see, Lisandro Martinez, who's come inside the squad, uh, he's he's not even a year old in this United team. But when you see him in defense, and it's not even, and when he plays with Varane, when he plays with Maguire, when he plays with Luke Shaw, when he plays with, he's partnered, I think, all our centre backs, uh,
Yeah.
Lisandro Martinez. He's in fact, I think, even played on the right and played Luke Shaw on the left, kind of a thing. Or
Yeah.
no, I don't think he's partnered Luke Shaw. I think
No, he
he's
hasn't.
direct.
Luke Shaw has been on the left wing back with him,
Yes,
but
yes,
not been. Yeah.
yes. But you see, Lisandro Martinez is comfortable. He knows exactly what needs to be done. And it's not comfort on the ball. It's an awareness to know where the other three guys are beside you. Because if you cannot communicate with the other two and your goalkeeper, it's exactly how he let in the first two goals against Sevilla. You know, so, and I'm not willing to go and see a captain after, and they let in the first goal, which was a mistake, and the second one there is a little, not the second goal, but there is a chance, and then Daghia comes up and he kicks it, and then there's Harry Maguire running in. So I'm not having my captain go to any player this way. If you want to be firm to a player, I want you to do a Roy Keane, go hold him and go like, dude, communicate to me. Yeah, this is a very weak kind of a gesture where you've just gone, let's speak. There's no ownership. I don't think Bruno was doing that. I think he was losing his head. He was probably, either killing a few of those guys or he was just screaming at them all time. But I don't know. I just find this man so emotionless, so
Fridge like.
pointless. Yeah, it's just
So
doesn't make
pointless.
sense for United.
That's going to be the headline of this one. Harry
Yeah.
Maguire is pointless.
Yes, he is.
I think Harry Maguire, my take on Harry Maguire is that whatever happened in Greece never really got sorted, right? Ever since he came back from that Greece incident and like it got
Correct.
hushed up and all, he's just not been the same person uh, at all. I don't know what they did to his sister. I don't know what happened exactly in Greece, but there is some unresolved issue there with maybe it's his awareness there, like maybe he lost his scanning ability there. I don't know what happened. So whatever they did to him in that Greek jail, like definitely changed the dude completely. Because he used to be at least able to head the ball, with some
Correct.
sort of certainty in his first season, right? Like, and you'd be
Yeah.
like, okay, the guy is going to clear the ball. And then, like, now it's like, even that the home game versus Sevilla, right? The one where we are cruising 2-0, right?
Yeah.
He heads the ball onto that guy's head, which then
Yeah.
bounces back into the goal,
Clean it
which
off
was like,
his head and then enters. Like it is.
I mean, like, like it's
Po-
incredible.
It's like
I don't know
Pogba's
what.
voodoo magic did not go to Mbappe but went on Harry
I
Maguire.
think so. I think there's something like that going on with
Misfired.
the dude because he can't get a thing right, and it's very Man United related as we point out, right? Because
Yeah.
in versus England, it's not the same thing. He looks like he can head the ball against England. He makes those clearances. It's
He's
fine,
not
but
hurried as
he
much,
can't
no?
do the bare minimum, and that's the problem with him. Like even if he could just defend, right, you would be okay with him coming on like 10 minutes to go in a game. You close out a game, but if you can't do that, then then you become a liability, and that's when things become very very tricky for you, especially as a
I
club
think even
captain.
in England he gets saved. If you ask me, it's
Yeah,
just think about it this way: like this season as United, we've got most clean sheets, right? And the most clean sheets are not just to Daghia, right, or the defense. It starts from Casemiro. It starts from Wout Weghorst pressing all the way back till the defense. Where he gets into the England setup is pretty much not a United setup because they play three at the back. They actually go three or five at the back, and their midfield is Jordan Henderson and Declan Rice, and I think it's those guys that suddenly make him go, "Oh, I'm not eating goals right now." Uh, but I don't think even then he works out for an England team because he's got a John Stones beside him. Because it's
Yeah,
John
but
Stones that makes. Yeah,
yeah, but like also the pressing, right? Like pressing is a very it needs club football. You can't
yeah,
press cohesively in international football just because you don't have enough time and you don't have the talent. You can't hunt for pressers. You're stuck with the talent pool, which is national. And so managers just focus on building a strong, the good teams build a strong defense, work
yeah,
out basic dynamics of play, and then evolve on whatever their team is working with. Whereas in club football, the pressing game has become really important. So
yeah,
Harry Maguire has less time on the ball when he plays club football than he does. So if for England, he just holds the ball for, I don't know, that extra 5 seconds, it's all right. Nothing changes. For
mm,
United, when he does that, the other team is all over and your whole game is
correct.
pushed back.
Yeah,
And so he's just not ready for it. And I agree. He's just not up to that mark. And now that Lindelof's played well, we don't even need him. Which actually
no,
brings me to a question I wanted to ask you guys. I saw this on, I think, Hausen or one of those things, Man United fan channels. Who do you think should stay and who do you think should go? Like in this United team, there will be some clear outs, I'm assuming, and we are just going to assume that the club has an average budget, right? So we can't cater to whoever's buying the club. It's those dynamics are confusing. But like, if we buy the 2, 3 players we end up buying, and then we have to sell players, who do you think stays? Harry Maguire out in?
out for me.
Yeah.
I think first, I don't think there's going to be too many exodus of players. I think our squad is really thin. Uh, I think we need more reinforcements than players going out. So you might have one or two players that leave, maybe one or two fringe players that are not getting a chance. Maybe an Elanga will go for on loan, or maybe Elanga might get sold. Maybe a Harry Maguire because he's on not like as a defender. He's 28, 29 right now, so he's just he needs to play more football. Like there's no two ways about it. So the only people that I see probably leaving are two defenders. I see Harry Maguire or even Victor Lindelof because he's right now, I think, he's captaining Sweden. So as the captain of the national team, not getting in, not playing day in day out is something that might play in his head. And if I don't know if a Serie A club like AC Milan or Inter Milan comes along and goes like, yeah, every day you will be challenging for the title, I'm sure it's something that he'd like to take on. But I think I honestly don't want too many players to leave. To be very very honest, we need more players at the club. We need a striker. We need another centre back. We probably need a goalkeeper. We need a central midfielder. Like we need players in this position. If tomorrow Casemiro goes, then we are not playing uh, the game plan that we've played all through the season. Then we suddenly are doing a double pivot. If Bruno is not there, then we've again changed the whole format of the game, and it's okay. But if you want to play a style of football, and that's the way you want to go forward, you will definitely need to have a few backups uh, all across the pitch. And I don't think we have equivalent backup anywhere. We don't have a backup for a striker. We don't really have a backup for a right wing. We didn't have a backup for a left wing for the longest period of time because Sancho was in Netherlands and Martial was injured. That's why we had to go and get Wout Weghorst. Um, Casemiro was out, and then we had a lean patch because we were playing Sabitzer and McTominay and Fred in the middle and trying to sort some things out. We're out with defenders, and you bring on Harry Maguire, and then you go out of the Europa League. So it's our bench is not as strong as a top six team right now in the Premier League should be. So that is the reinforcement that you need. Like even Spurs, I mean, we were talking about how bad Spurs has been, but just imagine that if Richarlison was fit, you could bring on a Richarlison at 60th minute. Is 60th minute, Richarlison, 30 minutes, super impact. I don't see any two ways about it. Uh, but we don't have that luxury. Uh, so,
Yeah.
yeah, reinforcement more than having players go out.
What about you, Ian? Ins and outs that you think would make you happy this summer at United? Like you go like, this is the bare minimum, and I'm satisfied.
I definitely, I personally don't like when like we have to like get rid of players like who are not performing kind of thing. Because I just, as a general rule, I like to see like people come back from like difficult situations. But in this case, I think Harry Maguire definitely beats. And I don't know, maybe we sell him to Tottenham. He plays with Harry Kane and no, sorry, Graham Potter. Otherwise, then we can have like a nice thing going on at Spurs. But I think that would suit him better. But like apart from that, I agree with Ori. We do need reinforcements, but I'm very keen on how Ten Hag goes about this, because of course one is that we can dip into the transfer market, but he's been very careful about who he's been buying anyway in the transfer market. So he's like, oh, if we don't have the player, we're not going to buy him, and he only trusts his certain types of player. So I'm more interested in seeing whether he's going to start, like dipping into our academy, our loan players. Uh, we have a bunch of promising kids around who've looked better than most other seasons that I have looked at loanies. Just like we've talked about Ahmad already. The Greenwood situation is still like unclear.
Would you have him back?
Whether personally I would take him back, but I don't know if that would be just for
It,
his football ability.
it
Uh,
is one of those things, right? Like it gets hard because a part of you wants to, the whole conversation around it is the tricky part, right?
yeah,
Because otherwise, if he's not married to the girl that accused him, they have a
yeah,
kid coming together.
he's a
It's a
kid's
very
dad. Like
specifically unique situation of going like, I don't know what happened, but they are okay with it. What the fuck am I having a problem with?
it's a damn strange situation. But if anyone can tackle like all these like really iffy scenarios, I think Ten Hag is probably like
Yeah.
the guy I would trust to tackle shit like this, because he would
Because
just
he's
come and
clear, huh?
say, yeah, he would just come and say, here, huh, they have a kid, yeah, and it's just like, okay, maybe things get okay. So I don't know, like, and I feel like he would suit this system like the best, like
Hmm.
having a guy who can score with left, right, uh, up top, like he links, he knows the club, he's been in the academy. uh, would free up Rashford from some of the thing as well, like maybe he would take some heat from other players, like
Yeah.
people would be like he would be under the microscope a little bit more.
Correct.
But
Then you don't have
that
suddenly defenders going and doing a chop on Rashford. You've
exactly,
got Greenwood also. You've suddenly got two
exactly. So
players running at you.
yeah, you got to be a little bit more tricky.
He's the guy
There
we
are a few others.
sacrificed.
Yeah, there are a few. Donny Van de Beek might come back from injury, and he's someone that Ten Hag trusts like a lot. Like I don't, again, like I haven't seen it yet, but they have kept him around for a certain reason, and they're paying for his operation, and they're letting him do his whole thing. So uh, maybe Ten Hag knows something about him that I don't. So that would be interesting to see if he comes back. Because Christian Eriksen, personally, I thought he's done. Like I didn't think he would have the kind of impact
Hmm.
he had this, or has had this season. But he's been absolutely brilliant. So if Donny can come back and show something, uh, maybe even come up like just like do something like be a squad player for that matter, it might work out. We've got another very interesting left back kid called Alvaro Fernandez. He's been playing for Preston North End.
Oh
Hmm.
He
wow.
looks
Okay.
he looks
Yeah.
very very interesting, right? He's a bit taller than your average left back. Uh, he's got a lovely left foot on him, and that kid looks promising. Hannibal has been doing not too bad with Birmingham, so that's an option as well. And even this kid that he had in the bench this time, uh,
Hmm.
Jurado, he's been having a pretty good season as well. So personally, of course, I would love, if we can sign you know Rafael Leao, or I don't know,
Yeah, thank
somebody.
God you did not say Frankie de Jong.
No, 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 not
You'd have ended
Frankie
I
this
De
don't
Jong.
want.
team if you had.
Yeah,
I'm
Yeah,
I
done
also
with
don't
you.
want Frankie De Jong. Personally, like I
No,
Rafael
but
don't want
Leao.
any of
he
these.
doesn't. He doesn't want
Yeah,
either.
these
So
big names, they don't make any more
Yeah,
sense, at least for what Ten Hag seems to be doing for me.
yeah,
And like the way he's going about it, like he's there to make players better. So
yeah,
if he can start young, he found all these guys when they were like absolutely nobody in Ajax, right?
yeah.
He made
yeah,
all
He
these
made
guys.
an Anthony and
So
Alessandro Martinez.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
Martin, exactly. So like
Frankie De Jong.
who's to say? Yeah, and
Yeah,
we have like, I mean, one of the things I'm most proud about United is that we have like our academy boy is the one who is
hmm,
like leading our goal scoring charts. Like Marcus Rashford is from Manchester
yeah,
born and bred. Like you've
yeah.
not had to do anything special. You just like developed him straight from the beginning all the
Hmm.
way, and now he's repaying your faith. So uh,
Correct.
for me, like sure, the transfer market is interesting, but I'm very much interested to see what like you can do with what you already have. Like you have such a big setup, you have like you're the
Yeah,
one of the biggest clubs in the world. You should be able to produce, you should be able to produce the top talent in the country. And it's interesting because I was listening to a podcast recently where Troy Deeney was talking about Manchester players coming on loan, and he said something very interesting. He's like, the boys from Manchester United who come, they are always on time. They always want to learn. They're always there for extra, and their mind and mentality is very good. So whatever training that they're getting to a certain level is pretty good. So that should transfer somewhere. And like for me, that's very interesting. Can we do that? So can we take kids? Can we make them special? So for me, that's where I'm at with my
I think that
expectations
makes
on them.
sense. I mean, there's a part of me that really also loves when an academy player goes up. Like that's why I find it very hard to get rid of McTominay or even Welbeck. I have a soft corner for. These are kids of our academy, and I think one of the issues that we have is right now we have a lot of flair players in our academy. You have Garnacho, you have some of these guys who can be more attacking. So we have Diallo even who's out on loan.
yeah.
Zidane could perhaps take up a little bit more and develop as that Frankie de Jong role. You're right about Hannibal. Hannibal again has is on the fringes of
Fantastic player.
getting. I think the difficulty comes in highly technical players because I don't think our academy has built those technical players yet. It will, but it'll take another
Yeah,
6, 7 years for that to manifest. Till then, we need these. That's why I understand Casemiro being 30 because Ten Hag in 6 years' time doesn't need Casemiro. He's going to have his own guy who's built up through the academy. But for the next 2, 3 seasons, I think we still need some of these signings. And I get we need another signing for the forward. Martial should go personally because I think at the level of injury, like what was it?
yeah.
I read a stat that was Wout Weghorst has played more minutes since January for Man United than Martial in the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
He's just like I keep Wout Weghorst. Honestly, I would because he loves to play for the club. He's good vibe, good
I'd
energy,
keep.
and
I'd
right
keep.
now he's doing what we need him. Right, he's
Yeah,
that
yeah,
Yeah.
rotation player,
absolutely.
and
I'd keep Wood over Anthony Martial. It's just that
yeah.
simple. Yeah,
And we do need a striker then to come in, and even if we get Greenwood, we still need a striker because whatever it be, Greenwood's had more of a traumatic
Yeah.
time, whether it
yeah, yeah.
rightfully, wrongfully, it's his own doing, but he has had to deal with mental.
We need an off the
Uh,
bench striker for sure. Like,
yeah, and in those situations, right? Let's say you're 1-0 up, and you still don't want to let go entirely, but you need a striker that can push up. Wood's great because he's
yeah,
going to give you that press. Again, some opposition, Wood's the better option to start off and then bring on Garnacho who can just run through. But
Yeah.
yeah,
would
say it.
change the game in the extra time when he came on. We said
Yes.
we were winning the ball every 5 6 seconds. Like they couldn't get the ball out if they decided to play from the back with Wood and Sabitzer on, they had no place to run because you just had these two people just running at you. Like, that was incredible. I'd keep Wood.
Sabitzer as well.
I'd keep
I'd keep
Sabitzer.
Sabitzer.
I'd keep
Exactly.
Sabitzer
Sabitzer.
is
I mean,
gonna stay.
Sabitzer, Wood for sure. I want to keep. I think we get rid of Martial. We get rid of Harry Maguire. Yes, even I'm saying that. Um, we could make him mascot or something like that and pay him some amount of money to just be there. And I think we'll have to get rid of. Yeah, tell me.
David De Gea. What do you think of?
No, we. I don't. Okay,
David's
You're
becoming
talking
third
about.
choice.
You're talking about. Uh, like David De Gea is good, yeah. But if you're
yeah.
talking about technical player, the man
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
can
he's
pass
not
the
that.
ball.
I get what you
He's
mean.
not that at
Look,
all.
Like
I
he's a fantastic. Like I'm also going
He's
to
gonna be
defend
third
Anthony
choice.
Martial. I love Anthony Martial. I think
me too.
he's a fantastic footballer. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just that he's had so many injuries over the last. If Anthony Martial was fit this season right from the beginning,
yeah,
we were we were I think at least 6 to 8 points above and plus 10 goal difference for sure.
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah. So
definitely.
I personally like Anthony Martial a lot.
yeah,
I just don't think he fits currently because of his injuries. And I love David De Gea. He's been the
yeah,
player for the club for when we were at the at our lowest period. He's basically
yeah,
saved us season after season.
yeah.
Uh, but it is exactly like when Liverpool went and bought Alisson. It's that one goalkeeper. It's that one header last year on the 93rd minute. It's that save. It's that one pass that he gets and he whacks it straight to Mo Salah. It's get pass goal. That
Yeah,
is
yeah.
what
The same with Joe Hart.
will make
Same
or
with Joe Hart. He got
yeah.
removed with City. No, no, I
And
definitely feel, but I don't think he's gonna get sold. I think he's just not gonna start as many
yeah,
games.
maybe.
Yeah,
And
I
why I think a goalkeeper is important is if you look at the league tables, you look at the top two teams, right? Look at the top two teams last season. I think the Premier League is in a place where the difference between first and second of 10 points is gone. I think the difference is always going to be a 3, a 2, a 5. It's always going to be really neck to neck. It was last year neck to neck, it is this year neck to neck. The only time that it wasn't neck to neck was when Ole finished second, right?
Hmm.
We just, and when even Mourinho finished second, we were like just bloody 10, 15 points off. But with Arsenal, with Liverpool last season, and what is going to make you win is that 1 point, is that one goal, is that one pass. So I don't know how he's going to become the third choice keeper. The only reason why I say that is I don't even know what's going to happen to Henderson because he went to Nottingham Forest. We thought he was all going to have a season, and then you've got Keylor Navas, and he's been absolutely exceptional. He is just saving things. He is flying in Nottingham Forest. So even Dean Henderson, I don't even really see how he fits into this whole thing because he's not really played too many games this season. And if we have to go out and buy a keeper, who do we go out and buy?
I So that is more my concern is the fact that when we are looking at sorry, I keep saying do it.
Oh shit!
Go
Sorry.
ahead, do the swarm. My bigger concern is just like, are there those keepers out there? Like, great to get Allison, great to get Edison. I don't think there are that many that kind of keepers who are available. I think Brighton have a great keeper. Weirdly,
Yeah.
we were talking about them getting raided. Sanchez would be a great signing for United, and he plays the ball out of his feet. I think in a way better than Edison and Allison because he does these safe, comfortable passes. He's not taking that extra risk on it. So it's always just very steady. And those passes can be zipped in on the ground to midfield, sometimes to the wingers. He knows what he's doing. Um, but short of that, generally, one thing about it is I think De Gea struggles a lot more when Maguire is playing because everything is further back. When he
Yeah.
has a little more space, he's just more confident. When he has got Martinez, when he's got these guys, yes, sometimes then he starts making keeping errors. But keeping errors happen. All keepers
Yes.
make errors.
Yes.
But it's these silly errors. Like even this game, he passed it to Maguire because Maguire is there. Maguire shouldn't be there. Maguire should be 2 meters closer or further out or give angles. At that point, the hair is harried and he's been told to play out from the back. But the moment
Correct.
he's not told to play out of the back, he has great games like what we saw against Brighton. He didn't have to play out of the back. He had to make those long passes because we were trying to break on the counter, and he was immediately better. And the thing is, perhaps it is worth. This is where I feel like it's worth us taking a young keeper and evolving that keeper over 2 seasons while we still have the hair for 2 more seasons, so that we can mold a keeper to being what we want them to be. If we get a ready-made product, great. I just don't see that out there.
I mean, Jack Butland is our alternate keeper, which
Yeah.
Oh
We
my
have some
God.
other guy, I'd never heard his name, but yeah.
We had some fantastic second choice keepers this season. It was
we have
absolutely
yeah, we
incredible.
had what is his face?
Dubravka, who
Yeah, we had
won a
Martin
Golden
Dubravka.
Cup
Yes.
Yeah,
while being on the losing end for Newcastle.
Yeah,
yeah.
he won a title this year. Well done for the team that beat his team.
Tom Heaton.
Yeah,
Tom Heaton is third number now, number three, and
Yeah,
he's always going to keep three. He said they need it for training, and also we have that. We have the kid. I think his name is Radek Vitek. He's like a
yeah.
21-year-old. Like,
So maybe he's the guy. Maybe he's the guy Ten Hag is going like 3 years later. He's going to know
maybe,
what to do.
maybe.
yeah.
Otherwise, there are a few goalkeepers. I think that we were linked to David Raya for a
We
little
were
bit.
linked to Raya, we were linked to Jan Sommer, and we were linked to
Yeah.
that other German fellow. Forget.
Sommer's not going to do this, right? Not what we want him to.
Hmm.
No, but
No,
Sommer's
like
also Sommer's a sweeper keeper. So
yeah.
which means suddenly your last line of defense can go up one extra
Yeah,
yard.
fair. That's there. But he doesn't quite do what the ball distribution isn't quite there. What he does is he can stand further up.
Correct. Yeah. He
Fair
he's,
enough.
he suits a Bayern style, and that's why. In fact, Jan Sommer was not going to be playing for Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
Manuel Neuer decided to go skiing after the World Cup and broke his leg.
Yeah. Okay. We've gone 1 hour, 12 minutes into this stream, and we've spoken a lot about Man United. Let's move on to a team that I think would complete the top 4 alongside Arsenal, City. So, yeah, let's talk about.
The Magpies.
Are they an elite club? Again, how the hell has Eddie Howe brought about this change?
Santiago Nunez. No, that's the guy from Goal movie.
What a throwback.
Santiago Munez. Oh my God. And Gavin Harris.
Yes, and Gavin
Oh,
Harris.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know how they're doing this.
Yeah.
They're doing something amazing.
And that team was a good team. If you just think about this movie and all the players that were in that team, a good team.
It was a pretty good team, man.
Yeah.
Newcastle always has been a pretty okay team, like they've had some big struggles, of course. I don't understand how they like even Alan Shearer had stopped like coming and saying anything bad about Newcastle at one point. Like he was like he had also given up hope kind of thing. But I
Yeah.
think now they're a serious problem, man. They're good all over the pitch, all over
Yeah.
the pitch. In fact, if we are talking about goalkeepers who are freaking insane, Nick Pope
Nick Pope. Very, very
Pope
good
is
keeper.
like ridiculous,
Newcastle has always
ridiculous.
had really good keepers if you think
Shea
about it.
Given.
Yeah.
Always. Shea
Shea
Given, Tim Krul.
Yeah.
Yeah, they always had
Yeah.
like some good shot stoppers.
Didn't they also take Henderson on loan once from us? Was that them? May not be. Maybe I'm just imagining this.
No, he went to Sheffield United. I don't know if he went to
Yeah, even to Sheffield.
Newcastle. But
Okay.
you could be right. He could have.
I don't remember now for sure. But yeah, like the thing with Newcastle is they built this, right? Like it's not just been an injection of mad amount of money and they've
Yeah.
done well. They've taken a good manager. This is exactly what Chelsea wanted to do. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
weirdly,
And
the
they have the
Saudis
money
did
now.
it better than the Americans. This one is they have the money, of course, but they've spent it wisely, right? They've gone like, okay, we need this guy. We already have Saint Maximin. We have this. They got in Isaac, so that's one of their bigger signings. But again, it's not some They've not gone for Osimhen or just the biggest name in that thing. They didn't even go for Haaland or someone, right? Or
Yeah.
Mbappe, Neymar. They actually took a really good striker that should cost the amount he costs, and they bought him for that amount. And that's it's a bit like how we bought Lisandro Martinez. He should be an expensive player, was signed for that right amount of price, and we did well with that. And Isaac's that sensible, expensive transfer that takes them to the next level. But it also works because Eddie Howe has done that. I mean, I was watching this game. It felt like the game that they played against Spurs, right? And it felt like
Mhm.
it was a you know how when you just log into FIFA for the first time and after in a new game of FIFA, and then they make you play that one game which tracks your level of difficulty and
Yeah.
it sets it. So the first 10 minutes looked like it was amateur and they were just like running through Spurs. Then the next 10 minutes it became like semi-pro. They were still running through Spurs, but it was slightly like one or two tackles actually happened. Then after that, it looked like it went to professional, and you're like, oh damn, how do I defend exactly? So you had to trying to figure that out. And then when they scored, then it went to world class, but it was too late for Spurs, and the
Yeah.
game finished 5-6-1 or some stuff like that. But
6-1.
it was absolute carnage early on. Like, and this is
Yeah.
we'll talk about Spurs in a minute, but like Newcastle have deserved that improvement. It's crazy that they lost the Carabao Cup final the way that they did, but they've actually been a very, very strong team.
Yeah.
They're a strong team. They're going to be a problem next season as well. Although, like, to bring it back to Ori's point on Brighton, like if they get into Europe next season, that's when we
Yeah.
know like really how how interesting they are. Like, can they deal with that Thursday,
Yeah.
Sunday, uh, like or Tuesday,
Yeah.
Wednesday,
It's a completely
Saturday?
different ball game then. Yeah.
Injuries
It's a
stack
different
up.
ball game.
I think that's where money becomes important, right? Because you need squad depth. You
Yeah.
can't do this competition. This is why United struggle because we have so many matches. Otherwise, you have players who are less injured. You have players. Arsenal are having a
Correct.
great season because they don't have to really give a shit about too many games.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. And we don't think about it like this, but like, if they're traveling like within Europe, there's also different time zones. There's also different, like,
Yeah,
you're taking more flights. It's not like you're going by bus or like, by like a small train or something like that. You're
yeah,
going different time zone, you might get jet lag, you this, how you're going to recover in the plane.
Yeah.
Uh,
yeah.
there are all these other factors that come into play that, that we don't get to see. So all those things also, like then if you're out of form, then what you're doing, you have more time to think on a plane. Then shit goes down. It can get worse much quicker when you're like moving around so much.
Hmm.
So it's going to be interesting next season. This season they should finish top four. Like I expect them. I expect that this
I
should
think
be the
so too.
top four. And, yeah, I don't think there should be any change in the current top four. I still feel that we know we'll finish above them.
Yeah. We've
And
also got a
yeah,
game in hand. So yeah.
yeah. I still feel like we'll finish above them. And yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think that win, Newcastle beating Spurs, and that too that convincingly is kind of. I think the only close run team right now is Brighton that could push us into like the top four battle. I think this is killed Spurs' chances because Brighton, if you look at that, they are in eighth, but they have like
They have 2 games in
two games
hand.
in hand on Newcastle, 3 games on Spurs, and they
Yeah.
can win some of these games. They have some tough games as well, to be fair, but they do play United at a point. They play, they have some of the tougher games now, but they could still finish at like right there and thereabouts and kick out Spurs from the Europa League spots. Uh, yeah, I think Newcastle's been their improvement has been interesting, but you're right. Like next season is going to be a harder thing, but that's where I feel like their growth is more sustainable because they have money. So once they hit
Hmm.
the top four, I think they will remain in or top six. They will remain. Now I think the top four has become a top 6, 7.
yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
You're going to add Arsenal, City, Newcastle, United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Spurs. Right? If you
Spurs.
want to count
Yeah.
Spurs in right
Yeah.
now, so 7 teams are there that constantly vie for 4 spots. So now it's actually gotten exciting to see the top four
Hmm.
battle. But Brighton will I don't know how they do this. They'll have to have 2, 3 more incredible seasons where they sell 5, 6 players at really high values, like 60 mil, 70 mil, and then they buy players for like 20, 30 mil and still keep getting better. And if
Yeah.
they can do that, then I think they can build in. That's a hard bit. You can't play
hard
Thursdays
bit.
and Sundays and have that squad intact and then try and finish in the top 5, 6. You see Leicester a few years after winning the title and qualifying for Europe, they're what? They're not even on this graphic.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
there they are, 17.
yeah. I think Leicester took a very different approach. They decided to rebuild their stadium and not really reinvest on the squad. So that's basically, I think, where they kind of decided we'll go with the stadium and not the squad. Whereas for Newcastle, it's got a fantastic stadium anyway,
Yeah.
and I think the Saudis did really well in terms of when
Yeah.
they came on. They bought the club mid-season. Then so the first two signings, so called, that they did was have Steve Bruce out and have Eddie Howe on, and the second one was Bruno Gimenez. And then this season, I think they've signed really well. They've signed one defender from Burnley, maybe. Then they signed
Joe Willock.
Kieran Trippier, Joe
Yeah,
Willock,
Kieran Trippier.
and is Isaac, who was injured.
Yeah,
And so they're all like they're. It's not that they went and spent 60 mil for Isaac, got him for some 40 mil or something like that. So
yeah, yeah. No,
all
they got
the
it for good.
yeah, all the purchases that they've made, they've kind of kept it very under the table and very like any other normal team would go about and do their business. So I think they have the firepower to. Probably they were all waiting for to get qualified for Europe. Now they've gone, okay, now that we are in Europe, who do you want? We can get in two marquee signings. We can go out and gun for two marquee signings.
Yeah, I mean, they got, I think, Alexander
Oh,
Isaac,
Felix.
Anthony Gordon. I'm just trying to run through some of the
Anthony
guys here.
Gordon they
Yeah,
got in
yeah. Everton.
January
Yeah, Sven
in Everton.
Botman, they got on Matt Target, Nick Pope. These are good signings, right? Like
Yeah,
they got Laureus Carriers for free for whatever that's
yeah.
worth.
He
They
played the Carling Cup final,
Yeah, he did.
the
Yes, he did.
Carabao
I
Cup.
mean,
Sorry,
he had to.
Carabao
There's
Cup.
no other player left in their ranks because of cup tide or whatever. And yeah, and I think they also got rid of the right people at the right time. John Joe Shelby was out. Chris Wood was sent out. I think both went to Nottingham Forest. And some of the other players that sometimes clubs are tempted to keep as squad players, but they've just focused on going like, even if we have injuries, these are the guys we're going to focus on.
Hmm.
And I think
Yeah.
that's been pretty good. And we're going to move on because it's going to otherwise go on forever. But we'll talk about now some of the teams that aren't doing so well that should have done better. Ah, Tottenham. Man, I mean, they've been. It's hard to explain how Tottenham don't win trophies, but then when you fire Mourinho right before you have a title challenge, before a title, whatever, final, cup final, you decide that you're going to get Conte, but Conte is the kind of guy who gets a bit disgruntled. You're changing managers, but there's no clarity on it. There's no direction in any of this. What's what can they do to actually improve this team? They're going to lose players as well.
I expect, yeah, like I expect them to start losing players unless like Daniel Levy decides to do something
Yeah.
completely different. But
On
that's never
cue,
gonna
talking
happen.
about Levy.
Never gonna happen. Never gonna happen. So yeah, I think Hyun
Yeah.
Min Song is up for transfer. Uh, bunch of them.
I think practically the old squad. If you
Yeah,
look at the squad, it's a very old squad right now. It's an aging squad. Harry Kane is 30. Son is 29, 30. They bought Perisic, who was 34.
yeah.
Hugo Lloris is 33.
Lucas Moura
Like
also is pretty old.
Lucas Moura is also pretty old.
Yeah,
Yeah, they've got an
Yeah.
aging squad, and I don't think it really. Hoiberg is quite like he's also 27, 28, and he's not the fastest player in the midfield. Like he's a good player, but he's not.
yeah, and he's been their best player I think this season.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
everyone else has played really bad, but Hoiberg has been making
yeah.
assists and like he's been doing okay. Like he's keeping Yves Bissouma out of the team, and people thought Yves Bissouma was like the next, I don't know,
Correct, exactly.
Casemiro.
And Bissouma came in from Brighton, right? Was bought from
Yeah,
Brighton.
Bissouma did come in from Brighton, looked unbelievable at Brighton. Uh, like had numbers and all to match like some of the top players in that position, but can't get a look inside in the team. It's very
I mean,
strange. I don't know.
I think a lot of these people could go, given that they aren't going to be in Champions League football. I think now that that's almost confirmed, I can totally see Son going. He's 30. He could still
He's
be,
30.
a
Yeah,
really valuable player for some team. Like I can imagine him either at Arsenal or Liverpool, even just at, although Liverpool are unlikely to go for someone like him, but he could be a good signing. He could even be a good signing for a team in the continent because he
Yeah,
has that capacity, right? Of
yeah,
being able to, that pace is great everywhere. He could be incredible in Italy.
yeah,
You have Ben Davis that could leave. Harry Kane is still 29. He could leave. Eric Dyer. All of these people have a possibility of going to bigger clubs. And I
yeah.
think at this point where they see that this is a downward trend, I can't see Richarlison leaving yet, but
No,
I can see that this is going to be a bit of a painful summer for them.
yeah.
yeah.
Cool. Any idea about who they should be getting on as a manager?
Graham Potter.
Yeah.
I mean, if Poch is going to Chelsea, you might as well play the media a little bit. Get that. Okay, you guys took ours, we'll take yours, kind of thing. A little bit, and it's Chelsea and Tottenham. It's like London derby. Like you actually get some eyeballs, and maybe Graham Potter does much better at Spurs than at Chelsea.
Suits him
He
more, right?
actually
Like
gets.
Hmm.
it's a better project
Yeah,
for him.
I think it's a better project for him. I think he's suited to that type of project also, where like you're not expected to really win a trophy, but if you do, it's great. But you get to
Hmm.
develop players. You have a very good stadium. You have money if you really need to buy somebody, but you don't need to. So, like to me, that makes a lot of sense. But now, what Daniel Levy is going to do, I don't know. They might talk to Nagelsmann or somebody and try and get
I think
some random
Nagelsmann is also
person there,
out of the race. No, I'm not too sure what they're up to. Like it is very incredible what Daniel Levy can do. He's
right? Yeah, you
yeah,
never
he's,
know. You're not sure.
you never know what he's going to do.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think some of these guys like Hugo Lloris, Perisic, Mora, all of these, their contracts are imminently coming to an end. Kane as well,
Yeah.
Eric Dyer. So, having them out might actually help someone like Graham Potter if he
yeah,
comes in,
that
rather than
exactly.
Nagelsmann, would probably need those guys to be
Yeah.
doing well. I think Potter can get rid of those guys, build his team up, and aim that in the next 8 years they are constant Champions League participants. And if Levy can have that sort of a patience with it, it could work. And now with Kane leaving, Dyer leaving, Son leaving, if these guys do get out, then they will have more patience because right now a
Hmm.
lot of patience is because these guys are like, we were so close, we should win now, or we are leaving. The moment they're out,
Yeah,
you're like, okay, it is a rebuild.
yeah,
I think the problem with Spurs, the biggest problem of getting the manager in is it's still going to be what is their long term vision.
Yeah.
Because over the last 3 years, I think they've all gone for a very short term fix. They got Mourinho thinking they're going to get a title. In fact, they could have gotten a title. I still strongly believe if Mourinho
Yeah.
was sitting in that dugout for that final,
They would have
they
won.
they're
had
winning that.
they're winning that. Yeah,
With you on that.
They're winning that.
yeah.
Even
Then
with
they got
our squad, he got us like whatever this thing, right? So it's like there is no reason why he shouldn't have won that. Like he would have
yeah,
got them that trophy, they would have gone. They could have fired him after that. But I
correct.
don't know what. In my eyes,
Yeah.
their long term vision is not to win anything. It's just
No,
you
so
play nice.
there's one manager that I'm forgetting that we are all kind of forgetting, and he's available, and but he'll need the full backing of the club, and that is Luis Enrique.
Yeah,
You bring Luis Enrique inside, and you tell him this project. It's like what you're doing with Eric Ten Hag. I know it's
correct.
not that Ten Hag has full control, yeah, but he's
But
got
still,
enough control to run the club on a daily basis and to get the results. So I don't know even why Chelsea didn't go for Luis Enrique. I
I
think he's
don't
a
think Luis Enrique
fantastic
wants.
manager.
He is.
Yeah, I think he's happy taking Spain and like looking after his daughter's best interest because Ferran Torres is behind her.
I do think that he would be open to something like this, but it needs a little bit of. It's not the kind of manager that excites fans. If you're trying to excite fans initially, like you say, we've got Luis Enrique as a manager. The Spurs fans aren't going to be like, yeah. They're going to like Conte was that bit of wow factor. Mourinho was a wow factor. I feel like Levy goes after these guys a little more, and that's where I think Nagelsmann, even Graham Potter, kind of might work because but Luis Enrique is making an investment into someone thinking that they'll win in the next 3 years. But are you ready to win in the next 3 4 years? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, like I just feel like they won't give a Luis Enrique that full reign that he requires to be successful. Just like what they have not managed to do with Conte or Mourinho, right? Like no matter what, like Conte came out and started saying that we are just making excuses for players here. Like 20
Yeah.
years, they have not won anything. Like straight up in a press conference, you just come and like destroy your club owners, like straight
Yeah,
up, like so.
yeah.
So I don't know if the big managers want to go to a place like Tottenham.
Like,
Somebody like
and
okay,
Luis Enrique is a big manager. Like
he's a big manager. He's a
he's got
very
a
big
Champions
manager.
League. He's won a Champions
Yeah,
League.
yeah,
He's
yeah.
won two La
Yeah,
Liga.
he's a
Yeah,
he's a top manager. So I don't know if he will want to go to like somewhere where after the
there's
3.5.
uncertainty.
Yeah, there's like this uncertainty after 3 4 months. Like he will not be like on good terms with Daniel Levy or like whatever it is. Like people
Mm.
will be making excuses for players and all. I don't know if that suits Tottenham uh, ambitions anyway. That's why I feel like somebody who's going to get them to play decent football and who's got like they have more money than Brighton, right? Like they can still
Oh,
make
for sure.
yeah, so they can still make signings. So it's like Graham Potter will be like one level above Brighton, but a level under Chelsea. So it's not
I'd
going to
say
be like
better than Chelsea. Environment might be. I know Levy, but like hearing the stories of Todd Bowley and the way that he's actually doing his job, it's
Yeah.
all great.
London clubs,
Uh,
man. They're crazy. I don't know
like
what London clubs are up to, man. They're completely nuts.
the fuck is when a manager walks into sorry, when an owner walks into the dressing room
Dressing room.
to dress down the players, and you're like, but that that one sanctity has to be there that the owner doesn't walk in. Yeah, you win a title, you're gonna go and celebrate with the team. I get that. Don't just walk in after the team loses. That's not your job. That's not your
Yeah.
role. That's not
Crazy.
you have someone appointed for it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's crazy. It's absolutely it's nuts that dude. Anyway, that is
Let's
a very
actually
big
move to
topic.
talking about Chelsea then.
Chelsea.
That's the final bit of the segment that we have. Yeah. So from the merry-go-round at Spurs, talking about a former Spurs manager. Seems like Pochettino is moving to Chelsea. Is that what do you guys think about that?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
First things first, it's like what? Yeah,
I mean, why? The problem with the with Chelsea is not has for a year not been the manager,
Yeah.
mm,
right? Like I remember mentioning this earlier in our WhatsApp group, and I think we have a Chelsea fan there, Ganesh, and he was like, "No, we have had a good transfer," and I said that I think United have had the worst transfer window out of the teams that want to compete for Europe, apart from Chelsea. And I remember him saying, no, we have had a good transfer window because the names were shiny. But we have seen that. We've seen that happen,
we've
right?
had that.
United has seen that happen constantly where you just go like, oh, we got a shiny thing. We got a shiny thing. We got a shiny thing. And then you realize it's not just shiny things. It's not Cristiano Ronaldo. We needed a CDM. That could have been Chouameni or that could have been someone else. And that would have been an
Anybody.
infinitely better
Yeah.
signing than bringing on Cristiano Ronaldo. And it's the same. Like getting Enzo Fernandez in Jan is such a worthless bit of 120 mil. When if you had 100 mil, go and get Osimhen. Get someone that you can at least you need a
Yeah.
striker. Just get that sorted. Get Lukaku back. You have Aubameyang. Use him. Get him into the lineup. I have no
And
clue what.
Aubameyang,
Yeah,
he's just come back. He's just gone like Chelsea, Barca, Barca, Chelsea. He's not played a game. It is
Nothing.
incredible. It blows my mind.
It is absolutely crazy.
And when the club needs goals, you need goals, right? Got
Yeah.
a striker sitting there. Whether he's 35, 36 is irrelevant. He knows how to put goals. Get him
I
on the
know.
pitch.
I mean, it's crazy that it's come to that for a
Yeah.
club to have spent 600 million plus in a season and not have figured out one position. It is, I mean, I used to think United had done it badly. This is worse,
Mm. Yeah.
right? Like, not only have you done it badly, you've also got a different manager. Then you sack that manager. So there was nothing wrong with Tuchel, but fine, you want to improve it. I get it. And then you get Potter, then you go, fine. Potter's not the kind of guy who's going to get you immediate success. He's going to build a team. And then you
Hard.
throw 100 players at him. And then after that, you fire him at a point where you're like, okay, maybe you have a replacement. You don't have a replacement. You go to Lampard, a guy who got fired not only from Chelsea, but he also got fired from Everton
Everton.
because he was about to like get them relegated. And now you've
Yeah.
got him at Chelsea, and you can see Chelsea is just going downward. This is not surprising. They haven't scored a goal under Lampard in 4 games. I think the only goal that they scored was an own goal. So fuck that. This is. I, I don't understand how a team that is professionally there can manage to be so bad. And I feel that about United constantly. And suddenly I look at Chelsea and I'm like, oh, thank God we have Glazers now.
It feels like that. It definitely feels like that,
Seriously.
man. Like, how do you go back to Lampard? Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I want to know what he said in that job interview that
Exactly.
they went, okay, please come and take this job. Like, what do you say? Like, my CV? Like, here, I just got fired from Everton and from you guys. Like, I haven't done it. I don't know how that works, man.
And
That's
I
so
don't even
crazy.
know how Lampard comes out every single time for a press conference and he goes, I'm Chelsea through and through. I feel this club. Dude, you're putting that club inside a big well that would need
Yeah.
many more owners to come and pick it up. Like,
Oh my goodness.
No,
he's incredible.
man,
I
it's
mean, thank
also
God I'm not a Chelsea fan. I wouldn't want to be a Chelsea fan right now because, like, oh my goodness, like, oh my goodness, like seriously, I
and
feel bad for them.
and I wonder, like, because it's not like, obviously it's not all American owners that are bad. That
Yeah.
honestly is racism if you really think about it. But it's just a fact that there's a brashness to American sport that works in American sport. So if you think that you're going to get those same ideas of going there, I'm going to go into that meeting, bully that guy to actually getting my transfer in, and think that you know more about the game.
Hmm.
European football is a specialized sport. You need to understand that that is
Yeah.
also different from MLS, that is different from South American football. That's what City have done really well, have understood South American football. It's not just picking up a South American player and bringing them there. It's
Yeah.
understanding how that player, it's that football played in that world, how that translates here. And City have also done that well with German players, right, which United have struggled, other teams have struggled, and suddenly whenever they sign it right. And you look at how Chelsea are going about it, and you're like, this is like
Hmm.
amateur hour. We do better work when we play manager mode in
On
FIFA.
FIFA. Yeah.
We spend more time actually thinking about the effect of
Yes.
a sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
But
yeah. No,
no,
it
my
is
question
just
was, can Pochettino change that? Because
correct.
he's the right kind of guy. He has the right profile. He has the right understanding. He's been in London. He knows how to improve players. He knows how to build a team around. Him having a lot of players in his squad is probably going to be helpful because earlier the problem was that that squad got too tired with his coaching methods because they were playing week in, week out and dealing with training. So, and they're young and they're capable. So they get rid of some of the deadwood, older players. So I think Kante would leave this time, and I can totally see some of Mason Mount might be the biggest loss that they have.
Yeah.
But without European football, can they really attract players? Maybe that's better for Pochettino, where he doesn't have to deal with European football and can just. They aren't playing any European football at all. It's just domestic.
Technically, I don't think they need to attract players next year because they've already got a striker sorted for next year. They've got Nkunku that's going to come in. They
Yeah.
technically, if they want, they can get Lukaku back in. Technically, if they want, they can get Tammy Abraham back in. They've got a solid defense setup. They've got a whole pile of central defensive midfielders and central midfielders, and they can run like a Coromandel Express on the left side and a freaking Rajdhani on the right side of wingers that are just flying across the flank. Like, it is incredible.
Yes.
The amount of
Apart
people
from
that
that, yeah, they have like 50 players on loan
loan.
also. Yeah.
Yes. So I don't think Pochettino needs anybody. He just needs to figure out this is dead wood. Out you go. That's dead wood. Out you go. I need 25 players to work for this because they're not going to be in Champions League. They're not even going to be in Confluence Conference Cup. Yeah, they're just going to be in the domestic competition. So if Poch comes in, I think it's perfect for a rebuild. He can just focus on domestic and he can just take that club forward because there's enough young players inside there and good young talented players like
Yeah.
Mikhailo Mudrik. I think he's a fantastic player. I think he's really good.
I think it's
I
good.
mean, there's a good player in Enzo as well. Let's not
Yeah. Yes.
get it wrong. Like he's a good player. They've honestly, Havertz has a lot of potential. I understand Ziyech is probably someone you'd get rid of. They have Broha is there
Great.
who should be able to actually fit in as a center forward. It just seems to be a matter of there's so many combinations that by
Mm.
the time you figure out what is the right combination, that manager's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Potter's Chelsea wasn't playing terrible football. They were struggling, and there were moments where you went like, "Hey, they played better than the result," but they had bad results.
Mm.
Lampard's Chelsea just, I mean,
Plays
we're not
stupid
surprised.
football.
They don't really know how
They
to play
need
football.
deflections for goals.
But at least Pochettino is finally, hopefully, if given time, is a step in the right direction. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have this thing that you shared with me that I thought that would quickly run over, which was that 7 managers in the dugout this season for sides that finished third and fourth last season. 23 losses. Chelsea have lost 12. Spurs have lost 11 between them in 22-23. Freaking
That's
hell,
crazy.
man.
That's
Seven
crazy.
managers across 2 clubs. Chelsea have had 4.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought Abramovich was trigger hungry.
Yeah.
This is a whole new level of it. All right, guys, that's basically it. And thanks for joining, man. Thank you, guys. Let's keep doing this every week.
Yep.
Hopefully, not 100 minutes long. This became like we went on like 90 minutes plus extra time or one of those World Cup injury time kind of things. But it's great fun, man. It's really cool talking to you guys. Everyone's in all over the world, and this is something that I think I've I've wanted to do for a while, and I think we've all felt like we can, and it's a possibility of just letting our thoughts of football out there in a space without
Mm.
thinking about the algorithm. So there's that. Yeah,
Fun. Yeah. It was fun.
Good fun.
cool. Thanks, guys. I'm going to end
All
with
right.
the opening intro again. That's it because we don't need end screens right now. So good night.
See you.